Todd McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to follow along the lines of something I heard on television a little while ago. Somebody few New Zealanders respect. Hey, Clint, what do you think of that last speech? But are we pleased, Clint? Clint, are we pleased? Well, how am I going to explain this? Mr. Speaker, you've heard of the ghost chips ad on TV? Well, that was the ghost Greens Labour minister. Hey, Gareth, Clint thinks you're dumb. It's as simple as that. Mr. Speaker, I want, before I get into the meat of this speech, to pay a tribute and recognise the Honourable Parakura Horomira in his passing. I haven't had an opportunity to speak in the House since yesterday. It was a very sad day for New Zealand, and yesterday, I think, in this House, the way members came together showed the great respect that we had for Mr. Horomira and all that he did. I remember being down playing rugby with the parliamentary rugby team a couple of years ago in his home district, and the great hospitality he showed to all members of this House, but indeed that the public showed to him is a mark of the man, and want to recognise that and put it officially on record. Mr. Speaker, now coming to the issue of today's debate, and it's really about who is fit and able to govern this country. And we've heard other speakers talk about this government's record over the last 4.5, coming on 5 years. And indeed, after the first 3 years of our government, New Zealanders looked at what was put before them and went to the election. They had a chance to vote, and we were returned to government with a larger number of votes than was cast 3 years earlier. So through some of the most difficult economic times that New Zealand had faced in certainly a generation, after 3 years of the great difficulty that the rest of the world had faced, New Zealanders had faith in the job that John Key and Bill English were doing in a national government, and they returned us. And 1.5 years from now, there will be another election. And again, the opposition will come forward, and the same old rhetoric, the same messages of the previous 3 years in the re-election will be that the government hasn't done a great job. And New Zealanders will be able to judge, and will be very happy to come forward on the campaign stumps and make our case. But what New Zealanders also will be able to do for the first time in the then 6 years we will have been governing is have a real snapshot of what an alternative government, the current opposition in government, would be like. Because whatever they said in the last election, New Zealanders didn't believe them, they didn't trust them, and the opposition will be able to come forward and talk about what they believe they will do for New Zealand. It's very important New Zealanders get to balance that, because what we've seen over the last few weeks and what we hear in this House today is about a Green Labour coalition and the direction they will take New Zealand in. And the very extreme left-wing policies around the economy that I actually think the Green Party are driving more than the Labour Party, because I know there are moderate members over there who are much more sensible than what's being brought forward in public. But we often know that in opposition, members of Parliament will do and say anything to get over to this side of the House. And that's what I think is happening here. So I think New Zealanders will accept what a lot of the Labour Party members are saying at the moment, but the direction that the Greens are driving them is of great concern. And let's have a little look at what it might be like under that Green Labour government of the future. Well, the first thing they'd want to do is they want to go out to New Zealanders and say, we have the ability to manage affairs properly, to work out what policies we should have and put them in place, and you can take our guarantee that these things will work. So they could say, for instance, well, we're going to go out and collect 400,000 signatures for something, and that's the feeling of what New Zealanders want. And then what we would find when they brought it back to this House, all of a sudden, oh no, it wasn't 400,000 signatures, they were a few wrong. And as Mr Henry said earlier, 100,000 signatures collected by the Green Party and the Labour Party, by the part of the Labour Party, by many of their hard-working volunteers, by the part of the Green Party, people they paid with parliamentary money, taxpayers' money, so they paid on behalf of New Zealand taxpayers to collect signatures. And what did we find, Mr Speaker, when they said we've done a great job, and they brought the boxes to Parliament and were so very, very proud, and all of their hard-working volunteers around the country that have been out in markets and the sunshine and in the rain collecting these signatures, what did they find? That they'd got their numbers wrong and the job wasn't done properly. So, Mr Speaker, to every single New Zealander out there that voted for this government in the last election, and we'll have a chance to weigh up the two sides in the next election. Mark my words, they got it wrong there. They'll do and say anything to get over on this side. Question all of the promises that they make and make sure that they can count properly when it comes to simple things like signatures. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, ko titirangi te maunga ko te whauta.